Hello and welcome everybody to The Way We All Go. This is a visual novel you can find on Steam, so please buy it if you have the money, and if you want more visual novels to come out on Steam, I highly suggest buying it. Anyway, I'm going to play it now for funs and stuff, and I can't use my controller. Well, okay. I'm so used to the controller by now because I play all the RPG Maker games with it. Because my controller is not as loud as my keyboard, which is pretty old. Alright, then we'll use the mouse. By the way, it's a mixture of romance and horror. In a review on the internet I read it's more like 80% romance and 20% horror, but we'll see about that. I really think you should tell her, you know. I know, but... Are you scared? I hope you can't hear my mouse. That's actually a problem. Can we use the controller now? Ah, yes we can, great. I wake up in the compartment of a train. My head is leaned back against my seat. A strand of drool dripping. Wow. A strand of drool dripping, that's like the ultimate challenge for a foreigner. From the corner of my mouth. What? Wincing, I wipe it away. Or wincing? I don't know. I wipe it away with the back of my hand. Drooling at my age? That isn't very mature. I mean, I drool all the time, to be honest. I thought I stopped doing that when I was a kid. I need to get it together. Act more like an adult. Oh, that's like, I did that when I was like 16. I have given up with 20. That's what I keep telling myself, but it never seems to work out. That's partially why I decided to take this trip alone. This isn't some kind of crazy, coming of age, quest for maturity kind of adventure though. I'm not going to go far off lands and slay dragons, or pull swords from stones or anything. I doubt I could do that even if I tried. I'm just going to visit my grandparents, who live all the way out in the countryside. That's all. Still, I think it'll be nice going back home. I've only been away for 2 years, but it almost feels like a whole lifetime. I wonder if anything will be different. 2 years might seem like a short amount of time, minuscule when you consider how old the Earth is. But a lot of things can change over a period of only a few days, let alone years. That's true, man. I've been away from home for like a year and a lot changed. I hope Amu's okay. It will be strange seeing her face again. She sent me some photographs, but a photo isn't the same as seeing a person in real life. And I wonder. I lean my head against the window, staring outside, sorry. The rough movement of the train jerks my head against the glass, bumping my forehead and knocking my teeth together so that they chatter, but I disregard it. I can see fields dyed dark blue under the evening sky. Since when are fields dark blue? Okay, maybe I read that wrong. I'm not in the city anymore. I'm far away from my new house, my new school, my new friends. Saki, Miho, and Yuna. What are they doing right now? Saki with her love for horror stories. Miho, who always scores the highest score in karaoke. Yuna, who wears red ribbons in her hair and keeps falling asleep in class. To be honest, not to be honest, but I don't think this was made by Japanese persons though. I could be wrong about that. But these idle thoughts soon fade away. I'm going back home. And maybe I'll see her. She was always so quiet, never talking to anyone other than me. Will she be any different now? I hope she's at least made a few new friends. If she hasn't, then would it be my fault? No, that's no good. Why am I worrying already? By the way, I like that stylistic, you know, leaving out the train noises when he had the deep thought, the important thought. So we already knew something in the past happened. I haven't even made it to the village yet. Stupid. I chastise myself, shaking my head in an attempt to dissuade my steadily mounting feelings of guilt. I don't want to ruin my trip before it even begins. But if I did, it wouldn't be too surprising. Maybe I deserve to feel bad. I should have told her. Why didn't I tell her? Because you were scared. I mutter this under my breath. It doesn't matter. Nobody can hear me. I'm the only person on the train after all. Wow. Really? Never happens to me. Not even when I'm driving to the last place on Earth. Darling, welcome back. It's good to see you again, lad. You wanna help with your luggage? I like the grandpa's design, by the way. He looks awesome. And a bit strange, but awesome. I stand outside the small word train station, gripping my single suitcase tight in my hand. Since I'm only going to be here for 3 days, I didn't bother to pack much. I can make do it with only a few pairs of underwear and my pajamas. I don't need anything else. My grandparents are standing before me. They've come to greet me at the station with wide smiles, comforting in their familiarity. Their home is only 5 minutes away from the station, so they didn't need to bring the car. This is probably a good thing. My mother keeps saying my grandfather's eyesight is getting worse and worse. Nowadays he can hardly read the newspaper without the aid of his thick glasses, which he hardly ever wears, given he keeps losing them. To be honest though, it's not something that only happens to old people. I mean, most people who start losing eyesight and stuff, it's like in your 40s, not when you're really old. Maybe they are very young grandparents. And yet, he's still allowed to drive a car, something he frequently does, according to my mother, just so he can feel superior to other people. Okay. At least this is a fairly rural area, so there aren't all that many cars around to hit. You don't need to carry anything, Grandpa. I'm good. I return my grandfather's smile and make a show of lifting my suitcase, trying to prove that I can handle it. He, however, seems skeptical. Nonsense! You made all the effort to come out here, and on that blasted train, too. You must be exhausted. I'm fine. I'm not a child anymore. Grandfather peers at me, frowning. Maybe he's trying to verify the validity of my statement. I wonder if he has forgotten how old I am. Huh? What's this? You still look like a youngster to me. Hey, I am 16. You know, that it's funny though, because at 16 I also thought I'm like at the peak, you know, on the peak of becoming an adult. And I really hate to talk down on people who are younger than me, because I always hated it when I was younger. But judging from the point where I am now, I was not yet at the peak of adulthood when I was 16. I'm probably not even yet, I'm not even at the peak now, I guess. And I am older than 60. The gulf between us is as wide as the Kitakami River. My grandmother giggles. Come now, dear, don't be silly. You're getting old and your eyes aren't what they used to be. Nonsense! My eyes are just fine, Chio. And yet you keep wearing that ugly shirt. This shirt isn't ugly. It's very cutting edge, I'll have you know. Yeah, it's true. All the youngsters are wearing them. Yeah, what's more concerning me is what you have above than what you have under it. Our dear grandson isn't wearing one. To his detriment. It enhances a man's natural charm and shows off his true character. It shows he's starting to get senile, perhaps. Chio, you can be a very cruel mistress. Now don't bully Ed-chan too much, you old bore. I'm just saying I'm just saying like I see it, Chio. To me, he'll always be a brat. On the contrary, I think he's grown up to be rather handsome. Handsome? I don't know about that. Well, you know what they say. Good things come in small packages. The way I see it, you're just being modest. I don't know if being short is the same thing as being modest. My lack of height wasn't a conscious decision I made. If anything, I'd like to be a couple of inches taller. That way I wouldn't get teased so much. Being the shortest boy in your class can be pretty depressing. Nobody likes being picked last when teams are being formed in PE. I tell you, I was always the tallest in class, and I was still one of the last guys to be picked in PE. That has something to do with abilities in sports, not with your height. Maybe except for basketball or something. And nobody likes being laughed at. I'm not really modest, you know. I think you are. You're just proving my point, dear. Well, our Airi has raised you well. Oh, that's the mother's name, I suppose. You're such a gentleman. Oh, little gentleman. Little being the operative word. You must get it from your side of the family, Chiyo. You've always been tiny, haven't you? Yes, yes. Oh, she doesn't seem too tiny compared to you. I simply have a weak constitution. See? Even though he's 2 years older now, he's still a runt. I think you should let me carry your case, lad. It's for your own good. No, I'd feel bad. You don't need to put yourself out for me. Grandmother grins, beckoning me close. I follow her crooked finger. Crooked? Oh, that doesn't sound good. And she leans in towards me, whispering in my ear. Don't mind him, dear. He just wants to show off. Let him carry your case. It'll give him something to boast about with the neighbors later. Oh. Well, if that's how it is. No matter how old this man gets, he's just a child at heart. These are people you can be comfortable with, though. I think personally. No, that's not true. There are people who are like childs who are nice, and there are people who are very serious and are nice. It really depends on the character, on the whole character, not on single parts of the character. So I'm talking nonsense. Grandmother and I laugh together, co-conspirators, before I turn my attention back to my grandfather. Alright, I reconsidered. I guess I am a little tired from the journey, so you can carry my case if you want. Excellent! I see you talked some sense into him, Chiyo. You used your feminine charms, did you? Even at the age of 80, wow. Still look good for that. I still have it in me. It must be all the homegrown vegetables we eat. They're good for your skin. Better than the vegetables at those so-called supermarkets. Well, maybe that's really it. You got that right. No tomatoes taste as good as yours, Chiyo. As my grandparents laugh together, sounding so carefree, I feel something lift from the pit of my stomach. Could it be anxiety? Anxiety? I only read this word. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I started to get worried during my journey here, but maybe those fears were unfounded. Simply seeing my grandparents has made me feel more at ease. I guess I really do belong here. That's where I was born, after all. So you lived here before, but now your parents don't live there anymore, I suppose? Well, we'll see about that. How was the journey here, darling? Oh, that was her. My bad. It was fine. It took a while, so it was a little tiring, but other than that... Yes, it really is a long journey. It's 6 hours or so, isn't it? Something like that. I had to change a few times, though, and wait around for a while. So maybe it was more like 7. 7 hours! My grandmother tuts disapprovingly. You poor dear, it must have been dreadful. You need to eat more. Here, take this. Ah, come on. These days, all Japanese people fly for short distances. Nobody takes the train anymore. Well, maybe they are so far away from the next, how do you call an airplane station? Do you call it an airplane station? Well, you know what I mean. That, they couldn't afford driving there? I don't know, man, and who cares? Thanks. I look at my loaded plate with suspicion. Even though grandmother said all that stuff about me growing up and handsome, did she really believe it? If she did, why did she make me so much food? It's almost like she's trying to fed up a starving kitten. Come on, that has nothing to do. All grandmothers do that. I don't know a single grandmother who doesn't do that. I'm like 2 meters tall. And I still get fat like I had to grow 20 meters more. There weren't many people on the train, though. That was him. For the last 2 stations, I was the only one. It wasn't too stressful. Oh well, this is a very small village. And that is Grandpa. mixing up all the voices. Ah well, this is a very small village. Not many people come up here, and more people have been leaving. Huh? But why? Because there aren't enough jobs to go around. Well, that's really a problem everywhere in the world with rural regions, you know. Man, there's no reason to stay. Now, most of what's left here is just us old people. It's sad, really. I don't think I should ever like to leave. It's just so peaceful. And the green beans that grow in the parks are the best you can find. I even hear they're going to discontinue the train line here. Guess it makes sense, since it's hardly ever used, and the current track is getting old. Huh, that is really sad. I pick at my dinner despondently, even though I don't live here anymore. Hearing that this village is starting to decline is just a little depressing. All of my childhood memories were created here. Every single precious moments of my youth. Going out for walks in the forests, catching cicadas in the summer with a net and an empty mayonnaise jar. My extravagant and slightly unrealistic plans to build a treehouse with Amu, which never managed to become a reality. I know that feeling of building stuff that was never built. And, of course, there was her, my best friend, Noelle. Wasn't? Okay, there are different calls, okay. Hey, Achan. Good, it's been too long. Saki's voice, wry and quietly sarcastic as ever. Oh, okay, sarcastically as ever. Comes through to me from the other, damn it, side of the phone? I don't know. The phone in my grandparents' home is fairly old, more of an antique than a fully functional means of communication, and it distorts her voice just as ripples across water can mar a reflection. Even so, I recognize it. How could I not? That kind of tone could only belong to Saki, to the Saki I know and, sort of, with a certain amount of fear, love. I smile, shaking my head. She's acting like she hasn't seen me in years. It hasn't been that long, only a couple of days. But it feels like an eternity. I've been so bored. I'm sitting on the floor, cross-legged, the cord of the phone snagged up about in my lap. Oh, Saki is one where he lives now. Okay, my bad. My hair is damp from the bath and my face feels slightly flushed. I think I used a little too much hot water. I've always loved hot baths ever since I was a kid, but sometimes I go overboard and emerge from my long soaks on uneasy legs, my skin bright pink and puckered like a prune. I yawn, holding one hand up against my mouth, and shift slightly, balancing the phone against my shoulder and the crook of my neck. How can you be bored? You have all those brothers and sisters to look after, don't you? Don't remind me. I only just got them all off to bed. It's so unfair. If my parents wanted to go off on a romantic holiday, they should have thought twice before having so many kids. Why should I have to stay behind and look after them just because I'm the oldest? But you wouldn't have wanted to go on holiday with them either, would you? With my parents? Of course not. I'd rather die. Did you know they've gone to Okinawa? Who wants to go to Okinawa? I went there on a school trip a few years ago, and it's a complete tourist trap. Tacky merchandise everywhere, and it's all so bright and noisy. Not to mention the weather. Yeah, I personally wouldn't go to Okinawa. Maybe someday, but it's not the first place I would to go when I go to Japan just because it's too hot. Saki has a very pale complexion, which guards jealously. She always slathers on sunscreen, inches thick, whenever so much as a single glint of sunshine can be seen peeking out from behind a cloud. Then I don't know why you are so unhappy. If you didn't want to go with them in the first place, then there's no problem, right? It's the principle of the thing, that's all. I'm hurt. They didn't even invite me, because they knew you wouldn't want to go. But I still would have liked an invitation. It would at least have given the vague illusion that my company is in high demand this holiday. Some people are complicated. What about Miho and Yuna? Yuna went to stay with her big sister for a few days, and Miho is out camping with her parents. Saki sighs. This is so pathetic. I'm the only one who doesn't have anything to do. Not a single thing. But taking care of your siblings is a noble job. Yeah, noble. Saki laughs dryly, without any trace of humor. If you think watching reruns of Heidi for hours on end is noble, then sure. Bitch. One of the best cartoons ever. Don't fuck with Heidi. I kind of liked Heidi. Yeah, he's on my side. Do American people even know Heidi? Or in general, is that known outside of Japan and Germany? I'm not too sure about that. Well, if you don't know it, Google it. I'm pretty sure the first Heidi you will find is the Heidi of the book / anime. I had the whole series on VHS, and I used to rewatch it regularly, even up until my early teens when I was feeling bad. Yeah, I know that feeling. I do that quite often with old series, to be honest. Always when I feel bad, I watch old stuff. Just for fun, I suppose. That is, until my mother rummaged through my bedroom when I wasn't home and threw all my old VHS tapes out. If my mother does that, ever, I'm so out, I swear. I was pretty sore about that at the time, and I still am, actually. Most of those shows don't get aired on TV anymore. You'll find everything on the internet. Don't feel too beat up about it. I liked it too, but that was when I was about 5. But most of your siblings are 5. I know. It's so depressing I could scream. However, I will refrain, because that would wake those monsters up again. That sounds rough. You have no idea. You haven't known true torture until you've had the task of putting 4 young children to bed. Having met Saki's siblings several times during my trips to her home, I know better than to berate her. Although I genuinely like young children, Saki's siblings are something else altogether. They're more like gremlins than cute kids, and they are so loud too. It's no wonder Saki always had such dark bags under her eyes. Living in a small home filled with tiny children, prone to waking up in the very early hours of morning and slipping into their big sister's bed must be incredibly exhausting. Well, I'm the youngest, so I have no idea what's it like to be the older sister or something. Especially I have no idea about being a sister. It's getting so bad that I'm starting to think Okinawa would be better after all. Okinawa! What a joke! Why couldn't they go somewhere classy, like France or Italy? And if it absolutely has to be Japan, then Ginza would definitely be the best choice. My parents have like no sense of style. None whatsoever. A sigh. Anyway, I hope you are having a good time at least. I'm not entirely sure yet. I only just got here. Your train journey was that long? Yeah, like 7 hours or so. I would hate that so much, being crammed up on a train with strangers coughing on me. It really wasn't that bad. It was pretty quiet, really. Huh, that's good, I suppose. More than can be said for my day. A pause. Hey, Achan. What is it? I hope you have a good time on your trip. Honestly. I'm not just saying it. Yeah, I know. I hope you get along well with your friends. Your old friends. And, I shuffle around, trying to get comfortable. My bare feet, toes twitching, are starting to feel strange, slightly heavy. Have they gone numb from sitting cross-legged on the wooden floor for so long? If you ever feel overwhelmed, you can always call me. I probably won't be doing anything interesting. If anything, I'd appreciate having somebody to talk other than the mothers at the local playground. Sure, I'll try to keep in contact if I have time, but I am going to be back in 3 days. Just try to hold out until then. I'll do my best. 3 days of endless Heidi reruns and pillow fights and takeout pizza. I'll have to grin and bear it, I suppose. Not that Saki grins very often. That would conflict with her pale-skinned, dark-eyed, eternal queen of the night appearance. Oh, and one more thing. Make sure you bring me back a souvenir. I need some kind of excitement lingering on the horizon to get me through this living nightmare. Otherwise, I might snap and stab myself in the eye with a wax crayon. So I suppose she's one of the love interests? I'm not too sure about that as of now. Well, we'll probably see in the next episode. Yay! So, Thank you everybody for watching. And I'll be me no English once again. I hope you'll be back for the next part. And leave comments and stuff down below if you feel like it. And as mentioned, buy the game. For real. Like, these games will only be published on Steam when really a lot of people buy it. Especially buy the good games. I mean, I don't judge you if you don't buy Sakura Spirit. I really don't judge you if you don't buy that. I haven't bought that myself. It's dumb shit. But, in general, buy visual novels like Planetarian. Or, what else did they put out? I already forgot, but they put out other good visual novels too, like Shangui and stuff like that. So, as mentioned, please consider buying it. So with that being said, thank you everybody for watching once again, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.